Hey guys, this is a big shout out to Samantha and Ryan. They inspired this little tutorial with their intro titles to their demo reels. So it's going to look something like this. A line's going to come out and then your name's going to kind of appear out of that line. So let's get started. Let's go to composition and new composition. And let's just do like a 720 by, 1280 by 720, but HD TV 720. And let's come down here for duration and type in 2 seconds. That would be 200. And I've got a black background. You can actually change it to any color that you want. Just do a nice contrast with the color of the text. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And we've got a nice low resolution, relatively low, and short project that'll be easy to make. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to throw that line down. So up on your toolbars, you have the shape tool. Now you've got a rectangle, rounded rectangle, all these different shapes. We're just going to start with the rectangle. Slide along the options. Choose a fill color that's got really great contrast with the background that you chose. I've got black, so I'm going to choose white. And then for the stroke, change the stroke number to 0. So either scrub that or click on it, 0. All right, then we're going to come out here onto the stage and we're just going to click and drag a nice thin line. And don't worry too much about being exactly in the center, because you can always go up with the selection tool, go to window and make sure that your align panel is open. Mine's right over here. And then you can just align it to the center of the stage. And in fact, I'll put it dead smack dab in the center. All right. Next thing to do, I like to label my layers. So I'm going to come down here and click on Shape Layer 1, hit the Enter key, go into Edit that title, and I'm just going to call this Line. And I'm going to twirl down or collapse the transformations. Next, we're going to grab the Text tool, put our name in there. So I'm going to click on the T tool. You can change the font right here, color, so I want this contrasting color. If you go down to paragraph, I'm going to go ahead and center my paragraph so that I can then click right in the center, type in Joe. And I've got all caps going on my characters panel. You can also hit the all caps button. You don't have to type it up in caps. You can type it up in anything you want. Okay, so I'm going to reposition that down here, and then I'm going to make a copy of it. I think, sorry, that didn't work. I'm just going to come down here to the layer and do Control D. That'll make a copy. I'm going to hold Shift down and arrow down to move my copy. You could just use your arrows, but Shift makes it go 10 times as fast. I'm going to double click here and type in my last name. There we go. And just to make sure that those both are in the center, I'm going to hold Shift down and select them. Grab the arrow tool, by the way. Select them and then come down here and align center. All right, so we've got everything set up, and now we're ready to do some animation. First, I'm just going to hide the names, select the line layer, and let's just concentrate on that for now. So it starts in the middle and it kind of zooms out from the center. So we're going to scale that transformation. So you can either hit the arrows and into transformation and find scale. That's the old nasty way. Make sure you just select the layer and click S for scale. Boom. Now, if I start to scale this, both directions, thickness and width, are scaled. So let me Control Z that. You want to uncheck this little lock here, and that'll only transform one property. Now, I can never remember which one it is. I think it's the left one. And before I do that, I'm going to go about 10 frames in. That's how long I want this to take, 10 to 15 frames, maybe even 15 frames. Well, about 12. And I'm going to set my first keyframe there. So I like to animate backwards. In other words, I like to set the property of the line that I want it to end at. Then I move back in time and change it. So I'm going to transform it here at the beginning. And I'm going to scrub this left number to the left. Yes, that was it. And I just actually want this to be 0, so I'm going to click on it and type in 0. Sometimes it's easier to type than it is to scrub. So now if I move through this, you can see, boom, we've got a nice transition, or a nice cool animation. And I like to do some easing, so you'd probably ease this one in, out, and this one in. That gives just a little bit more dynamic. If I had more time, I'd show you how to go into the graph editor here and make it even cooler, maybe a little bit of bounce at the end, but I'd like to get this done quickly. All right, so the next one we're going to do, let's do my name, my first name, and I want it to kind of appear out of this line. So it's going to transform. I'm going to start this right about when the line stops. So I'm going to transform that, and this is going to be a position keyframe. So select the layer and hit P for position. I'm going to set my position there. So I hit the stopwatch, and I'll go back about 10 frames, somewhere in about the 5th frame. And I will just, you can just grab it and move it straight down. If you hold Shift down, it forces it to go. You can see that's the right number that I'm scrubbing. If you want to scrub it, it would be the right number. And I'm going to actually just put it right next to the line there. So, boom. Now, I don't want the word to show up until it starts crossing the line. So how do I do that? Well, I think the easiest way is to use a track mat, and that's what this whole lesson's all about. So I'm going to click off of that layer, in fact down here, so no layer selected, come back up to my shape layer. If you have a layer selected, this turns into the mask tool, so make sure you don't have any layers selected. Grab the rectangle. It really doesn't matter the properties right now. And I'm just going to click and drag a box where I want the word to be revealed. So right now, it's kind of the opposite. It goes behind that box, but in just a second, that's going to be the window that shows me the name. So, and it's super easy to do. So I'm going to actually click on that shape layer, hit enter, and I'm going to type in Joe Mat, just so that I know that this is the mat for the Joe layer. I'm going to move Joe Mat right above Joe. You don't really need to do this, but it just makes it easier, and I think I like to keep things together. So here's Joe. It's a text layer. You can tell that. This is a shape layer. You can tell that because of the star here. And then I'm going to come over, and if you don't see track mat, mode, and parent, just come down here to your toggle switches and modes and make sure that that's switched to the modes, and come here to the Joe layer and say, I want to create an alpha mat with the Joe mat layer. So the one right above it. Click on that and boom. See how it, when the word comes up into that area, it gets revealed. Isn't that awesome? After Effects has done 2 other things to tell you that this is happening. On these 2 layers, we have these 2 little icons saying that this is being matted by that. So these 2 icons go together, and it automatically hid the shape layer that is the mat. So that's kind of cool. Now, let's do the same thing with Dockery, with their other name. So first, we're going to turn the layer back on, and we'll do the animation. So I'm going to have that come on right about 15, maybe. So I'll hit P for position. Actually, I'm going to go down to about 25. Hit the stopwatch, because that's where I want it to be final there. And then I'll come back to 15. And I will just scrub that up. There we go. Boom. Now I've got my animation. You know what I forgot to do on the Joe layer? I forgot to ease these. So I'm going to select those 2 keyframes, go to Keyframe Assistant, and I'll just easy ease. That'll look nice. Hit Joe, hit U to show those keyframes. Select them, easy ease. By the way, now that I'm seeing these, it would be kind of cool if the Joe and the Dockery were moving at the same time. So I might just shift these over a little. Okay. So Dockery gets revealed here. And so now I need to create that mat. So select, make sure you clicked off, grab the rectangle tool, click and drag where this is. Oh, that was the opposite, no big deal. I'm just going to bring it down here. This is where I want the Dockery revealed. Collapse that, double click here, actually just single click and enter, Dockery, boom. Now I'm ready, I'm going to go to Dockery and just say, hey, use the alpha matte in this layer above, Dockery matte. And we are done, voila. Let's go back to the beginning and test it. Spacebar. Oh, I forgot to turn on the Joe layer. There we go. Let's try it again. That is kind of cool. All right, now it's time for you to try it.